All right, you're looking at the United States Capitol right now, and a lot of people anticipating that after November, that could be looking like a very, very different place, that this blue wave that everyone envisions coming is going to mean Democrats will at least control the House of Representatives. They're gunning for the Senate as well. That might be a dicier move. But anyway, the chairman of the Democratic Caucus and a frequent guest on the show we love having on is the New York Congressman, Joe Crowley. Congressman, very good to have you.
Thanks, Neil. Always good to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I remember last time we chatted, you take nothing for granted. You don't think your colleagues in the Democratic Party should take things for granted. But many of them do insist that a blue wave is coming. I know consensus is dangerous, but that is a consensus. Do you think that's justified?
Well, I'd much rather be in opposition right now than the majority's position. I do think that Democrats are poised to win back the House of Representatives, but it's all about the message. It's all about making sure that people know that Democrats will offer a better deal for America, and that will include better jobs, better wages, and a better future. And I think that's what Democrats are talking about, and that's why we will be successful in November.
I noticed that many of the Republicans who've won a congressman have been making Nancy Pelosi the issue. Her comments on crumbs when it comes to tax cuts, repealing those tax cuts if the Democrats got back in. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, I've had some very strong thoughts about that, not the least of which I think the Republicans are bankrupt when it comes to ideas. You know, running against Nancy Pelosi in all these districts is just falling flat. It's not having the effect that it maybe once had. And I do think that the Republicans need to focus on ideas about how they're going to improve the lives of Americans. I'm not here to give them advice, quite frankly. Yeah. I'd rather them run on their own record, I guess, or their own way of doing it.
They say they have come up with ideas, Congress. They say their tax cut is working, the economy is improving. Sentiment surveys seem to indicate that. There are others who, like yourself, who say we've hit a ceiling on the tax cuts. You may be right. But that the president's poll numbers are ticking up a bit. Do you worry when you see all that?
I'm more skeptical about just how effective the tax bill is playing in terms of the Republicans' game plan. I think that remains to be seen.
Are you for repealing it?
I am for certainly addressing some of the outstanding issues like SALT provisions, which really hurt places like New York, New Jersey, and California, which was really a political onslaught on blue states, which I think is reprehensible.
It's a valid criticism, but I'm wondering whether you share. It sounds like Nancy Pelosi has said rip the whole thing up.
Well, I think we have to address a lot of the issues in it. I'm not going to say every provision of it's bad. I don't think corporations were expecting a 21% corporate rate. They didn't believe they were going to ever get below 25%. So I do think there are things we can do to make this a much fairer and more equitable, more focused on the middle class and the working poor in our country. So you would want to raise that corporate
rate. If you got in charge, raise that corporate rate a little bit from the 21%.
I do think that's one avenue we can look at. We could also look at the fact that they lowered the marginal rate for the wealthiest in our country from 39.6% to 37%. I do think there are ways in which we can address the issues of tax reform and at the same time address the issues of the needs of working people in our country. I think one largely forgotten in this particular bill.
If Democrats did take over, Congressman, do you think it's time for new leadership, that the leadership in there is too old?
I think that our caucus is full of wisdom. And Nancy Pelosi, Steny
Hoyer,
Jim Clyburn.
You're a much younger guy, and you're full of wisdom. You're younger than me. So
and I'm in the leadership. I'm in the House leadership. So I recognize that wisdom, maybe you can say. But I think, all boats rise in a victory and in winning back the House of Representatives. And I think that's what we're focused on right now.
All right. So if Nancy Pelosi had said she would like to be leader again, you would tell her, you got my vote?
I have said repeatedly that I don't see a situation where I would be anything other than supportive of Nancy Pelosi.
Really?
So, yeah, and I think that the reality is that Democrats will win back the House of Representatives, and that's what we're focused on. But it's not going to happen because we discussed palace intrigue like this. I know it has a place here in Washington, and it has a little bit beyond it as well. But we're focused on Nancy, Steny, myself, and Jim Clyburn, Linda Sanchez, et al., the entire leadership.
You're younger than all those guys. You're younger than all those guys. So if they came to you, Congressman, and said, we like the way you speak. We see you on these venues. We like the way you can relate to people. We want you. You would say?
I am honored that they have elected me the chair of the Democratic Caucus. It's an awesome responsibility.
You're not going to answer my question, are you?
And I'm enjoying the role that I'm playing right now.
All right. Well, stepping back, sir, I mean, is it your sense the economy, if you looked at the economy right now, by almost all measurements, it has picked up steam. Do you think so?
I think there has been certainly an uptick. We look at the jobless figures, but at the same time, Neil, we look at the stagnation of wages. That people aren't feeling, as good about themselves as they'd like to. And I think those are the areas which we need to address. I think, instead of having tapped into our nation's debt of $2.7 trillion on this tax cut, and really, I think, again, going towards the wealthiest 1%, the largest corporate, multinational corporations in the history of the world, and richest as well, we could have been investing in infrastructure. And I think that's what we still need to do. I think if Democrats take control, we will invest in infrastructure, giving people jobs, bridge jobs, not only building bridges.
You find it a little odd. Now, I know you've tried to deal with this and the money that goes out for any Democrat to lecture any Republican on debt, on deficits.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part, Neil.
Do you think it odd that any Democrat lecture Republicans on piling up debt?
What I think is odd is when my Republican colleagues in the House Ways and Means Committee, who just spent $2.7 trillion when you add the interest rate into it, say they have they've been doing a lot of soul searching, and now they have to address the issue of our nation's debt when they just added nearly $3 trillion to it.
Why is the extra money for the tax cut a big issue to you, but not the $8 to $10 trillion in added spending not an issue?
I think that there's enough blame to go around on both sides of the aisle. That's not going to fix the issue itself right now. We look at the two wars that were entered that were unpaid for. We look at the expansion of Medicare Part D. We look at other things. I'll remind you, Neil, that the Affordable Care Act was fully paid for when Democrats were in control. So we did have a spending bill to stimulate the economy.
There were some unanticipated events that kind of changed that math, right?
Well, look, and at the same time, we still can't, they ought to have been paid for, certainly almost 20 years later, and we haven't addressed that issue. So I do think that's something we have to do, but we can't do it on the backs of working men and women, like we've just done with this tax bill. I think we have to do something that actually really fortifies, gives a wage increase for the people who are struggling in this country right now.
So, Congress, I'm going to put you down as a maybe on the tax bill.
Okay. Gotcha, Neil.
It's always good seeing you. Joe Crowley, the New York Congressman, the House Democratic Caucus Chairman, and who knows what else in the future. He's very modest about that. We'll see what happens.